So, Tyler, do you want to know something we're really, really bad at?
So this is different than most things?
No, I said we, not you.
Thank you. Oh, well, what are we bad at collectively?
So collectively, we're really bad at thanking people for reviews or acknowledging that they've given us a review. So the Wives' Tale podcast each host left us a review on March 10th. So that's like...
Wives' Tale podcast? What do they do?
They talk about like urban legends and myths and things like that. It's really interesting. It's fun. They're really funny. But they each left us a review on March 10th. So... like a long time ago. We're just getting to it.
It's only a month. It's not... It's like 6 podcasts ago, but...
I mean, it's fine. So the first one said, great movie pod. It says, love this podcast. It's a different genre than my norm. It's very informative and they have fun movie choices. Definitely worth the listen. And then the second one was, this couple cracks me up. Y'all seriously need to check them out. The banner is unlike anything else I've heard. Super funny stuff. Great chemistry between them. The movies chosen so far have been great ones and I can't wait to hear more.
Well, the movies so far being chosen are great ones comes to a crashing halt today.
That's because you're pretentious and you don't like anything that you don't enjoy if it's not a war movie or a drama.
That's not true. I didn't like the last drama we watched particularly. It was fine, but it was not anything spectacular. This just happens to be an R-rated animated movie.
Which is amazing and wonderful.
Top grossing R-rated animated movie of all time, in fact.
Yes, because there are so many R-rated animated movies that is a
There's
claim
like
to make.
4 of them.
Oh, well, I mean, so, top 25%.
Well, it's better than the bottom 25%, I guess.
I guess. So, I guess we should probably mention what movie we're actually talking about.
We're talking about Sausage Fest.
Sausage Party.
I know. Sausage Fest was the original name, supposedly, according to
our
Joe.
Guest host from last week.
Yes. And... they told Seth Rogen, who is the driving force behind this movie, because it's his baby, essentially, that they had to change the name, which I can't find anywhere.
No, but you did find a reason why something they did change to change the rating from NC-17 to rated R.
Yes. So in one of the final penultimate scenes, there's a bit of a grocery store orgy, and one of the characters had pubes, apparently.
Lavash.
Yes. Right. It was played by David Krumholtz, I think.
Krumholtz, yeah.
And so they had to remove the pubic hair from the flatbread. Yes,
because apparently that really did tone it down.
It pushed it over the top.
I mean,
that was just the one thing that was not appropriate.
I mean, watching all those...
From this movie, that's the one thing I was like, you know what? This movie would have been better with pubic hair.
Oh, see, I was really happy that they spared me from the pubic hair because, I mean, my sensitivity was really like, thank God I didn't see pubic hair on those grocery store items. Thank God.
Well, I mean, the whole rest of the movie was so subdued and not objectionable in any way.
I know. So, I mean, they...
Kid-friendly movie other than the pubic hair that they cut out.
Well, I mean, didn't we read that, like, Malaysia and, I want to say, China banned it because they were afraid parents might be confused?
Well, so, not just there, it was actually mistakenly screened at the trailer during Finding Dory.
Oh, jeez.
In a couple places, because they were an animated movie. They're like, oh, yeah, it's going to be fine, and not fine.
I can't even picture what they would have put up for a trailer, because when Seth Rogen was doing interviews, he was saying that it was really hard for him to even find a 15-second clip that was, like, okay for, like, primetime TV.
Well, it was the Red Band trailer, so it was not fit.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being with your child and being like, oh, look, it's a fun anime. Oh, God, look away.
La, 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 la.
Yes. So, okay, so what, you want to give like a kind of brief premise of the movie?
A brief premise. It takes place in a grocery store. It's a bunch of animated food, starring a hot dog named Frank.
Almost named Oscar, but they didn't want to get it confused with Oscar Mayer.
Well, they didn't want to get sued by Oscar Mayer.
Yeah, because, half of the products, they weren't, kind of pushing it. But
oh. So, played by Frank, character Frank, played by Seth Rogen, is dating a bun, played by Kristen Wiig, and they're sitting on a counter on July 3rd before the July 4th holiday, and they want to get purchased because they are under the delusion that they get to go to heaven essentially and live out their lives in total happiness, and then all of the food wants to leave the store and be bought by people, and they spend the rest of the movie finding out the horrible truth that they're really going, all of them are going not to heaven or the great beyond, but to hell, essentially, because they're getting brutally murdered.
That was the longest brief summary of a movie I've ever heard in my life.
Oh my god. I was close to a minute or two. I mean...
So basically it's The Secret Life of Food is essentially what we're...
Well, that's what Seth Rogen wanted it to be.
Right. So Seth Rogen said in his interviews that he was inspired by Pixar movies like The Secret Life of Pets. Thank you for making faces at me that the podcast can't see. But Secret Life of Pets...
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Uh-huh. Yes. One of these days we're going to have to live stream our podcast just so they can see how annoying you are. So they can understand why this is a debate movie podcast.
No.
Uh-huh. Well, anyway, so he was inspired by Cars and Secret Life of Pets and things like that where they show like the secret life of things that would not normally talk to you and you would not be able to listen to. So a lot of this was, he really wanted to make it feel like a Pixar film, which I think he did. I mean...
Well, so he put a couple things in there. There was a bumper sticker on one of the cars that said Dixar.
Yeah, nice.
Which was interesting. There's also some weird other Easter egg, which I didn't catch, but reading the trivia was like A113 or something, which is included in every animated Disney...
Oh, it's like, yeah, it's an Easter egg in all of their...
And Pixar, yeah, like this one of the things that they do, supposedly.
Yeah, and he had a lot of people in it, too, that are known for Pixar movies. I know Alan Menken...
The composer guy that did everything.
That did The Great Beyond. He won a lot of awards for Disney music and things like that. When I first heard that song at the beginning of the movie, I was like, oh, this is such a Disney movie. Like that song was pretty awesome. But okay, so we should probably talk about the actual plot. What happens?
Well, so there's a lot of great people in this movie in terms of surprising characters. The plot of the movie, they open up with a song about the Great Beyond and Nazis.
Yeah, and Nazis. That's one of the things that they added into the song to make it more their own. Well,
the original was written by the whiskey.
Firewater.
Kind of racist. And so...
I thought it was supposed to be a riff on Fireball, but...
Well, I was taking it as a commentary on the untrue stereotype that Native Americans have drinking problems.
Oh, okay. Well, you went a different way with it than I did, but all right, sure.
So anyway, he creates a song while high off of his ass, and then it was an effort to calm down the foods, to make it seem as though leaving the store would be a good thing rather than being sent off to your death like a concentration camp.
Right. So essentially he was trying to create a religion just like every other religion has done and make people feel better about the unknown after life.
Right. And then all of the other foods that come into the store after that start adding their own things and tweaking his original intention, just like a normal religion. And then it all goes to hell and there's talking about killing all the juice.
Right.
Which we don't advocate because spicy racist Nazi mustard is not a good thing.
Every podcast, you got to talk about Nazis. Every single one.
This one had Nazis. I don't know what you want me to do. I didn't talk about Nazis last podcast. You made me. That's not my fault.
Well, I'm just... But
that's entrapment. Entrapment.
Okay, but I didn't entrap you here. You brought that up.
Yeah, because there was Nazis in this movie.
Okay, well, I mean, should we just go down the list of all the Bill Hader movies where he played Hitler and just so we can make sure you have a Nazi commentary for every...
Well, it was Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yeah, and then Men vs. Women. Was that what the other one was?
I don't remember.
He played Hitler twice. So this was the third movie that he had a run-in with Hitler, I guess you can say, in his acting career. They were all like Hitler funny things. So they in the trivia thing I read, they said Hitlarious or something.
Hitlarious.
Hitlarious. Yeah, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that word, but it was a word that they used, and yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that word.
It's kind of a really interesting. I don't know. It's really not
like. Is there anything funny about Hitler? Like, I don't feel like that should even be okay of a word, but It exists, and that's what Bill Hader did. So.
If you can make fun of Hitler, that's fine. That I would find hilarious. Well, not Hitlarious, but... No, I was not going to go... No.
Okay, but so I thought it was funny, though, that one of the other movies that Bill Hader did Hitler in was Aqua Teen Hunger Force, because Aqua Teen Hunger Force... Well, I think it was a TV show.
It's an animated adult...
It's an animated adult movie, but it was also the last one done before this one. So it was in 2009, I think they said. So... did you see all of the advertisements for the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie when it came out?
I'm not up to date on Aqua Teen. I don't watch it at all, so I have no.
No, I didn't either, but it was a big thing in Boston. It was like they thought there was going to be like bomb threats because they put like these signs around Boston or something. I remember my dad worked in Boston at the time, and he called home and he was like, "Oh, they're shutting down the trains because there's a bomb threat," and it come to find out it was Aqua Teen Hunger Force's promotional campaign.
Really? Well,
yeah.
That's fucked up.
It was just like, I mean, so you think this movie was questionable? I mean, at least their promotion wasn't like that.
At least their promotion didn't involve terrorism.
Exactly. So, I mean, step up. We're going in the right direction. Maybe the next time there's an adult animated film, we won't have any kind of promotional controversy. It'll just be controversy on screen.
Oh, there you go. Well, there's a lot of famous actors that I was surprised that would sign on to this movie.
Like?
Well, Ed Norton apparently loved the idea, and he
was so good in it. He was the bagel, right?
He was the bagel. So apparently, when doing a little bit of research, Ed Norton loved the concept, and apparently he and Seth Rogen are friends, and so he was a huge driving force behind getting other people to sign on because people didn't want to do the movie, and then a lot of people signed up after they heard that Ed Norton was already on board.
I mean, I can understand that, but the friendship is confusing to me.
I don't know. That's what I read. I don't know if it's true.
Can you picture Ed Norton like just picking up a blunt and smoking with Seth Rogen?
No, I can't. No. He's in my mind, he's an actual serious actor.
No,
I'm not saying...
Are we taking shots at Seth Rogen? Because I think it should be stated that I like him and you don't. So
I don't particularly care for either Seth Rogen or Michael Cera. They're
didn't you say, I forgot, you said he was well cast as an abnormally deformed hot
All right,
dog.
This is admittedly the second take on this podcast. And yes, I said the malformed hot dog Barry, played by Michael Cera, was appropriate because his voice seems to fit for a malformed hot dog.
So basically you're saying that Michael Cera is malformed?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
His voice sounds malformed?
His voice sounds like it would fit on a malformed hot dog is what I'm saying.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Why?
Because
it's totally... He would admit this himself, I'm sure.
That his voice
sounds like
is fitting for a malformed hot dog?
Yes, I think that's a fair thing to say.
I think that's taking a shot, and you're just not admitting it.
It's not taking a shot.
I'm sorry that you don't like Michael Cera. Now I have the motivation to make you watch all Michael Cera movies from here on out.
Don't particularly care for either Michael Cera or Seth Rogen because I don't feel like...
Yes, you only like pretentious movies that make you think and make you feel smart.
Oh, God, here we go. Okay, no. Michael Cera's malformed hot dog is fantastic in this movie. He's an awesome character.
Barry. He's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, other than the breaking the laws of physics at the end of the movie to get a disembodied head through an air conditioning vent, fantastic storyline.
So I've been thinking about that. So basically, Michael Cera's character, Barry, gets out into the great beyond, finds out that it really is like the horror show that Frank has been telling everybody and that it's not heaven. And so
that house scene, holy Jesus.
When they're like chewing on the food and watching like as everything gets murdered basically.
Well, she's peeling the potato and they're like sitting on the counter, la da 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 da, and then she just starts fucking up all of the food. Yes,
it's horrific. But so Barry, it ends up being able to escape. His, he was with the druggie, if I remember correctly. So he was with James Franco's character. And
well, he was originally with Carl, the other hot dog played by Jonah Hill, that gets sliced in the face.
Oh, you're right.
And then he rolls out the window, thankfully, avoiding the knife to get cut in the face, because that's messed up.
Didn't you say that was like a call to Hannibal Lecter?
I thought that was a parody of... the Hannibal Lecter scene where he's eating a person's brain while he's still alive. And that is your dog on the kitchen table. somehow. No, I thought it was a throwback or a call out to Hannibal Lecter where he's eating Ray Liotta's brain.
That sounds disturbing and horrifying, but I'm glad that you made that connection.
How have you never seen that movie?
I have seen that movie. I just don't remember that. I've seen that movie a long time ago.
So Barry goes to the drug dealer's house, and then he finds out that the drug user, bath salts are apparently the answer to all the world's problems, which I don't necessarily agree with.
He finds out the drug user bath salts?
He goes to the drug dealer's house. He finds that bath salts are the answer to getting people to see them as living things with their own personalities.
Right, so Barry finds that out.
Yes, Barry. Okay. Barry goes to the drug dealer's house and finds that bath salts are the answer.
Right. So, I mean, I'm guessing that the bath salt issue or epidemic type situation that happened must have been part of Seth Rogen's creative process, because it reminded me a lot of the incident, I think it happened in Florida, where the guy ate the person's face.
Yes, the guy high on bath salts ate another man's face in Florida. I looked this up, and it's in 2012.
Right.
The movie came out in 2016, so I'm assuming that the bath salts incident had some kind of
influence. Because, I mean, Seth Rogen did say this movie took him 8 years to do.
Like, that seems like a long time to make a movie.
He also said he was embarrassed to admit that it took him 8 years, but it took him 8 years, and I think that it had to have had some kind of inspiration, because, I mean, these food items had faces, and he was essentially eating their face off. So,
well, people were getting unknowingly committing acts of genocide on groceries. Well, if you look at it from the perspective of groceries, I mean, we need to eat food, so I'm conflicted on that, because even vegetarian, apparently all the fruits and vegetables have faces and personalities, so we're fucked either way.
Yeah, I mean, the corn had the best singing voice of all of them, so I mean, we're really killing our grocery talent.
Well, it's either eating no meat, which is its own separate thing, and then or just eating nothing at all, which is not possible. So I don't know where we go from there if everything has a soul.
Maybe, I have an idea. Maybe you go the Santa Clarita Diet way and you only eat things that deserve it.
So eat Nazis, cannibals, what do we
eat? Like
horrible,
you know, like
child predators.
Like in the Mexican aisle, there was like the El Guaco.
You let me finish up with Predator, and then you go to the Mexican aisle? Really? I'm
just saying the bad groceries are the ones we eat.
We do not advocate racism or bigotry in any way. I'm just going to throw that out there. We are quite tolerant people, I feel.
I was just going off the characters that were provided to me.
That still was a bad it's a bad segue. Just really, no.
In my defense, I wasn't listening to you, which is generally...
Do you ever?
I mean, it's very rare, so...
Well, at least you've admitted it now for posterity.
Well, yeah, I mean, honesty is a virtue.
So Barry somehow gets the disembodied head of the drug dealer back into the air conditioning vent at the grocery store. Not only doing that, but getting it into the car, driving to the grocery store somehow, and then getting it into...
So I've thought about it. I think he may have had help from Gum.
Well, Gum was a parody of Stephen Hawking, which is really odd and unfortunate that he just passed away, and we just watched this movie.
Right. I mean, in Seth Rogen's credit, he didn't make fun of him in any way or anything like that. He just showed him as a really intelligent being. He didn't really...
Well, right. It was just Stephen Hawking personified as Gum, but then the movie came out and then he just died and we watched the movie for this podcast, which seems kind of...
sad.
Just a really unfortunate coincidence, really.
Yes, unfortunate timing. But I think that the Gum was helping him figure out the mechanics of how to defy physics.
Yeah, but there's no... I guess that's fair, because he did build a parallel dimensional portal at the end of the movie where they go to our world and presumably attempt to assassinate Seth Rogen.
Right, so maybe Gum created some kind of a portal to make the head show up here.
I mean, that makes as much sense as anything. So the groceries then fight a war against the people in the grocery store.
Yes.
Which they would not have won.
No.
Let's be real. People are not losing that fight.
Well, I think that was a commentary on the fact that people nowadays are pretty dumb. I mean, the humans that they had in this film weren't exactly high caliber humans.
Well, the manager was played by Paul Rudd, but really, really dumb.
Really dumb.
And Seth Rogen's wife played Camille Toe. I don't know how that worked out for them in terms of... She must have known beforehand, but at the same time, you named your wife Camel Toe.
Yeah, I mean, that would be unfortunate. I would not be thrilled.
Yeah, no. So the casting was very appropriate on...
you just said that he cast his wife as Camel Toe, and then
not for that.
The casting was very appropriate. You're talking about bad segues.
No, I'm talking about Nick Kroll, specifically.
Okay.
The guy who played the douche. Because apparently he's played the douche more than once.
With the actual name, the douche.
Well, from Parks and Rec, he's the douche. But then he also plays a character on The League, which is a TV show about fantasy sports. And he is also kind of a douchey person. So I think it's his niche.
So maybe he's a douche?
I don't know. He may be a lovely person in real life. He plays a douche very well.
I don't know what that says about him, but I read somewhere that he originally was going to voice the douche character as like a British person.
Yeah.
But then they decided it wasn't douchey enough. So, I mean, does that mean like Americans have a more douchey accent than a Brits? Because I don't know how I feel about that commentary, but that's what they said. Well,
he's the typical frat boy douche. That is the douchiest of all douche.
I guess, but I mean, I feel like every accent can be douchey.
Well, probably, but I think... Well, so I heard that he was really supposed to be like a traditional Disney villain.
Oh, okay, like Gaston or something?
Right, or Jafar, or any name a Disney villain, really. But they decided to go away from that because they wanted him to be...
worse than them?
Well, a douche that is a douche.
Yes, because he actually plays a douche. We say the word douche so many times because he's actually playing the product a douche.
Yes.
Just to clarify.
Exactly. And then he's also the personality of said douche is a douche.
Right. The product names were awfully appropriate. Sometimes awfully racist as well, but...
Definitely kind of racist. The Firewater whiskey,
the Mexican aisle with all the illegal products.
Teresa or whatever is Del Taco. The Sammy Bagel Jr. played by Ed Norton, which is kind of ironic because he played a Nazi in American History X, but he played a Woody Allen bagel.
Right. I thought he did well in that role.
Well, yeah,
I think those two characters, the bagel and the lavash, were probably my favorite.
The lavash, yes, that they had to edit out for the final scene to get back down to R. Yeah,
but I think those were my favorite because out of all of it, they were the best social commentary given our cultural landscape right now.
Well, that was definitely insightful. This movie was way more insightful than I had expected in terms of a lot of things. There was existentialism at points, and the social commentary and satire was spot on in places, like the conflict between Jewish people and, well, in this case, Palestinians, but I don't think it was specifically Palestinian, but more Muslim in terms of just the general overtones of the movie, where they're both living in the same aisle, and they're both very similar. They just can't see it because of their own preconceived ideas.
Right. And I mean, I thought they said, at one point, one of the characters said to them, like, isn't there room enough for both of you? I think it was Frank that said it to them.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's so accurate. Like, we really need to realize that there is room enough for all of us, and we don't have to, like, pick and choose. We don't have to do the Hitler and get rid of a bunch of Jews. We don't have to do that kind of thing. We can all get along.
Well, there's room on this planet for everyone. I mean, there are...
And didn't you mention that the fight between the Jewish and the Palestinians was over Jerusalem?
Well, it's this whole big debacle. So it in terms of the history side of it, so the Jews had occupied Israel previously after the whole, if you believe the literal narration of the Bible from when they left Egypt and go to the Holy Land. And then they were kicked out at some point, and so it was then occupied by the Palestinians. And then after World War II, the rest of the world was like, Jesus, we gotta figure out a way to make it up to the Jews, because that was kind of shitty.
Right, but I mean...
And kind of shitty, I mean horribly, horribly shitty in terms of the Holocaust. And then so they, in like the 1940s and 50s, they're like, yeah, you can have Israel back. And then all the Palestinians are like, well, you can't just kick us out. We live here. And it's devolved from there.
Right. So my thought was that was a commentary on that there's room enough for both of them there. They don't need to, it doesn't have to be one person, one group occupying that place. It could be both. Well,
they do live together. They don't get along.
They don't get along, and they fight over who's owning it.
They fight over everything, really, because neither side can give up. So I don't know where to go from here. Meatloaf as Meatloaf was fantastic.
Right, and
really
his
appropriate.
Brand name was Paradise.
I did not catch that.
Yeah, but it was, and apparently that was a riff of Paradise by the Dashboard Light. His singing was also wonderful. I'm so glad that they let him sing in this movie.
Oh, I had to. They were morally obligated to let Meatloaf sing as a Meatloaf in this movie. It had to happen.
And it was perfect. It was goals. So I think we covered most of it. The social commentary, the moral compass of the movie, and I mean, your biggest setback was the sexual innuendos, which...
Well, I thought it at times it was crude for the sake of being crude.
Which is very strange to me, because you like Game of Thrones, which has nudity for the sake of having nudity.
Well, it's not the same. So you can still have those things if they're advancing the plot or they make sense in the context, but to just throw them in to throw them in seems a little bit...
I think you got to look at the demographic it was trying to appeal to.
Well, yes, they were trying to appeal to...
a larger demographic, more than just people who appreciate social commentary, but also people who appreciate derogatory humor.
And getting high.
Right, but they're trying to also give them a moral, lesson in it as well. I can appreciate that.
I suppose that is fair. I will say that, going back to the grocery store fighting of the war, the Mentos Diet Coke thing is really horrible in terms of what happened.
The way in which that they killed the
guy by filling his mouth with Mentos and then upending a Diet Coke in his face until his head exploded.
I like that you felt the need to make sure you mentioned that before the podcast ended.
Well, I had to, because we discovered last time, this is the second take, we discovered last time that you've never seen that or done that.
I've seen it. I've seen YouTube videos.
You've never done it in real life, though.
No.
Which is awesome.
Because I don't want to make a mess.
You do it outside.
Well, I never thought that far ahead. I just thought to myself, this is going to make an awful
mess. How
mess.
have you, of all people, not thought, you know what, I'll just do it outside? You think of every possible scenario beforehand. I
don't know. I guess to me it was just not that important to think it through. It was just kind of like, it's going to make a mess. I'm not going to do it. I've seen it on YouTube. It's fine. So, the moral of this story is you're going to make me do it.
Yes, we're doing that.
Uh-huh. So I can't make you eat a hot dog for this
movie.
No,
you're not.
Make me do Mentos Diet Coke?
Yes, I'm never eating a hot dog. That's just not happening.
Oh, we will do every hot dog movie in the world until I get you to eat a hot dog then.
That's fine.
So all of our listeners, send me all the hot dog movies you know, because we're going to just keep on doing hot dog movies until we get them to eat a hot dog.
I will not break. I will not bend. I will not give in. No.
Okay, well, if just... our email is cinematicallycorrect@gmail.com. Send us all those movies.
Stop doing this. No. No more hot dog movies of any kind.
Oh, game on. Game on.
God damn it.
So, overall rating of the movie?
I would say 6.75 to 7.
Wow. You gave Brooklyn a higher rating than this, I think.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm shocked. Wow. You were really not looking forward to Brooklyn, but wow. Okay.
Well, to be fair, I wasn't looking forward to this one either, but...
Oh, okay. Well, all right. I would give it probably a 7.5. Because I liked it. I liked the social commentary, but there was a lot more derogatory humor than I'm generally good with. So I think 7.5 is probably about where I sit for this one.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, It has a surprisingly high rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
100%.
It wasn't 100% when I looked, but...
Oh, the last time I looked, it was 100%, so... what does it have now?
I think it was like an 83.
That's still really good. That's because Seth Rogen's amazing.
He's all right. He's tolerable.
More Seth Rogen movies in our future.
Stop. We already have Michael Cera on our plate coming up, and I do remember the movie because it's, of course, a movie that we're going to watch.
Of course. Of course it is. Okay, so what are we doing next week?
Next week, we're going to Thor Ragnarok, which is, I think, the third installment in the Thor series.
Right.
Hopefully better than the second one, because God help me, that was awful.
But you're actually looking forward to this one, right?
I am looking forward to this one. It is going to help me get caught up on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is superior to the DC Universe.
Oh, so now we're starting wars. Okay,
well,
all right.
No, just Joe happens to be wrong.
Okay, so we're taking shots at our guest host from last week when he's not even here. So we could have a great time booking guests. Great time.
I'm just saying that DC is better on everything else except for the movie universe.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see how that goes. But at least you're looking forward to a movie after a 2-week drought of you not looking forward to them. So now we're at one that you are happy to see.
Thor Ragnarok. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll go from there. You have to do the...
Yep, so I just wanted to give a final thank you to Jake from At This Music for our intro and outro music. And I am looking forward to Thor next week.